at Cardinal IG. To view open positions or to apply, visit CardinalFargo.com. That's CardinalFargo.com.
Love is in the air.
It's a brand new day.
Birds are singing duets together.
And squirrels are chasing each other across the treetops.
Everyone has a twinkle in their eye.
Boom, chicka-boom.
Don't let junk get in the way.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
And you'll be back to your old self again.
We've got magic in our fingertips.
And that's why everyone starts dancing.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the North Dakota Army National Guard. Aired by the North Dakota Broadcasters Association and this station.
So I can buy the Chevy truck for $4,000 less than invoice?
Yes, you can at Gateway Chevrolet in Fargo. Up to $2,000 customer cash or 2.9% financing for 60 months. Plus up to $2,000 loyalty cash on select new Chevy trucks. Shop the savings on all new Chevrolets today at Gateway Chevrolet. Save thousands with 2.9% financing for 60 months on select models. Only at Gateway Chevrolet in Fargo. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo-Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
Brooklyn Nets coach Jacques Vaughn will be with the team for the foreseeable future. ESPN reports Vaughn and the Nets agreed to a multi-year extension that will keep him in Brooklyn through the 2026-27 season. Vaughn became the interim coach following Steve Nash's departure and then had that designation removed earlier this season. The Chicago Bulls are shutting down Lonzo Ball for the rest of the season. He's been dealing with persistent discomfort and pain in his left knee after having multiple surgeries in 2022. NFL media reports Chiefs receiver McCole Hardman had groin surgery this morning for an injury he'd been dealing with last season. He's due to be a free agent. NFL media says the Eagles have interviewed University of Michigan defensive coordinator Jesse Minter for their DC opening. The New York Post says Colts quarterback Matt Ryan is interested in a career in broadcasting once he retires from playing. He's under contract for next season with Indy. And the Cleveland Browns have fired special teams coordinator Mike Prefer. I'm Nick Cope.
You've got the insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
Insiders.
Rob Hipp and Andy Rickoff.
And away we go on a Tuesday here on the Insiders. Welcome in. As always, wherever you're joining us, 1660 AM, 92.7 FM here on Bison 1660. Maybe across the digital landscape on the Bison 1660 app. By the way, if you don't have the app yet, go download it. You definitely want to be a part of the app. Go get it. You can join in, keep up with all things NDSU and everything happening across the sports world. All you got to do is just go to the Google Play Store or the App Store on iOS and search for Bison 1660. Download that. And wherever you're listening, we want to welcome you in. Always a lot of fun to be here on a chilly February morning here in Fargo as temperatures this morning. I learned early on not to say negative. Someone had corrected me on that. So it was like 13 below whenever I got going today. But, man, we got a great show lined up. Excited to be here. We want you to be a part of the show as always. Super simple. All you got to do is call or text on the Epic Companies hotline, 701-476-1660. That's the number to chime in. Whatever's on your mind today, let us know. But we've got a great one lined up as our good friend. How about Kevin Kessler joining us in studio today? Kevin has been an integral part of the broadcast team and his wife, Bridget, as well, across the Pioneer Seeds Bison Radio Network this year and for many years prior to that, as he is our spotter, and then Bridget down there running the parabolic mic, bringing you the sounds of NDSU football on game day. Micah Bendy as always, and then Ian here joining us. We didn't mention Ian yesterday, so we'll have to bring Ian on a little bit later too, as he's learning the ropes here on Bison 1660. We're just going to throw him right into the pit. But Kevin, good to have you, man. Bison fan, a long time. How you doing? It's been so much fun getting to know you over the past year.
Thanks a lot, Rob. It's great to be in on the show today. The year's going really quick, really, really fast. It's an exciting time because we're wrapping up on basketball now, and we'll be heading into baseball, and soon we'll have, fall football, and I'll be excited for that. So that'll be great.
Well, it's been good to have you, and I appreciate you. I reached out on a short whim. Just I threw a fishing rod out there, and I started casting. And Kevin Kessler said, "You were actually the only cast that I threw out." By the way, Kevin, I didn't want to make it sound like I threw it out to everybody.
So now you have the big fish.
That's right. I got the big fish in town,
right.
But I'm going to tell you what, it's hard to find a guy as nice and someone that's most really connected to NDSU athletics other than Kevin Kessler. He's been a fan for a long time, and we're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk Bison memories and kind of dig back into the history book and let Kevin share some stories. I think Bison Nation will be really excited to hear about that, and I just want people to feel inspired today and just kind of go back and relive some great moments. We need that, and Kevin's going to bring that to us, so we're looking forward to that. Andy, again, leaving a day early due to the impending snowmageddon that may be coming through. Luckily, I think a lot of that weather is actually moving farther to the south. I think we're going to get maybe 2 to 4 inches of here in the Fargo area. But again, Andy leaving a day early, so I had to take over the helm here today, and then I was already going to do it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Kyle Emanuel will be in studio with us the rest of the week. He's going to have big shoes to fill after Kevin Kessler sitting in that hot. He's in the hot seat.
Watch out, Kyle.
He's in the hot seat here today. I'm going to have my friend Karl Shoening joining us again, coming on. He's going to talk a little NBA. I know we don't talk a lot of NBA here, but we are after that halfway mark. And so just to get some updates from Karl, maybe his thoughts on the Timberwolves is where they're heading, what's up with the Lakers. There was some chatter with Russell Wilson now signing with the Clippers, or Westbrook rather. So we'll have that coming up as well. We'll talk Summit League Shootaround as we always do on Tuesdays, brought to you by Todd Cattermas of Beyond Realty. And then a little sad news yesterday. Someone that I wanted to honor here on the show, and someone who's been an integral part of not just a philanthropist and someone who has given back so much, but been very involved in the sports world. And there with Minnesota, the Vikings, and for me back at home in Texas, as we lost a great one yesterday, and Red McCombs passing away at 95. So former Vikings owner, he had his hand in almost everything. So we'll definitely be talking a little bit about Red McCombs, the legacy that he lives, and just why it's so important to really think about your legacy and what you're going to do whenever your time has come. So I want to honor Red today, someone that's meant a lot to a lot of people throughout the United States, not just in Minnesota, not just in this area, but all over. So we'll talk about Red and what he's left behind. Also some NDSU basketball updates. Had a Peak Performer of the Week awards coming out for NDSU men's and women's basketball. That information coming out yesterday afternoon after the show, so we'll talk about that. Who is that? Well, we'll tell you who it is. It's on the women's team and on the men's team. Micah Bendy probably already knows who one of those is. He's already shaking his head. Micah, good to have you in, man. How are things going today?
It's always good with me, man. I'm always in a good mood, and it's always fun to be on the show with you guys, being here with you. But yeah, I do know the names for both sides of it.
We'll keep it on the DL before now. And then, hey, I did want to bring in, I'm just jumping all over the place already, but we have a new guy here that's helping us out, and he's ready to say hello, joining us on the board, learning stuff. What's going on, Ian? Welcome in.
No, just happy to be here. Happy to be learning with you guys. It's been a good experience so far, second day, but yeah, ready to get rolling with the rest.
We'll just pull him in on the hot seat. We knew though right away that he'd be all right. So Ian, good to have you here. Ian's learning the ropes and doing a great job. So we're looking forward to getting to know Ian as time goes on as well. So Ian, good to have you on the show as well today.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And then we'll be talking a little college basketball rankings. We're here the final week. I know we talked about the final week for NDSU and everything else, but there's a whole other landscape going on all across the nation. It's an exciting time. Get some March Madness ideas. I know Micah keeps on to that. What is he talking about? A little 25-leg parlay going on, Micah? Is that what you were talking about earlier before we went on the show today?
Yeah, something that I'm just going to waste $1 on just so I can have a little bit of fun, a little bit of kind of like get the blood flowing a little bit, get me excited for the day. 25-leg parlay tonight.
So what do you win? You put $1 on? What could you win?
Thousands of dollars, maybe $150,000. Who knows? And then I won't show up tomorrow. Then you won't have me.
Yeah, you didn't win it the other days because you're still here. So so there's There's a little bit of that going on. Again, don't take any advice from Micah, though. We've discussed this on the show before. It's just for purely entertainment purposes, right, Micah? I want to make sure that we throw that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, entertainment purposes. I'm adrenaline junkie, so it gives me some adrenaline in my day.
That's right. Also, some other news coming out. How about the voice of Madden Football, the video games? I don't get a chance to play a lot of games anymore. Really don't, especially after having a daughter and got another one on the way in July. But new voice of the Atlanta Braves in baseball. He won't be joining us. We're going to find a way to get him on eventually, just because of the tie into Madden Football. But Brandon Godden now is the new TV voice of the Atlanta Braves, and he's called some games on Fox before within the NFL, but now he is the TV play-by-play voice of the Atlanta Braves. So the guy from Madden, and it's not it's in the game, not that guy, but it's the guy that does the commentary on the Madden football game. So we will try to get him on the show eventually just to talk about that unique experience, but he's been around for a while, play-by-play man, and a good honor for him as well. Got some tickets to give away, too. Sportsman Show coming up March the 2nd through the 5th. We'll be giving away a lot of stuff today. Also NDSU men's basketball tickets, and then got some home and garden show. We didn't want to leave the ladies out. Even the guys out there. I enjoy a good home and garden show, but we've got some tickets to give away to that as well. So, Kevin, because you're here and joining us, I don't think you're eligible for those tickets, but sorry about that,
Rob.
man.
I thought maybe that would be my key in right here.
We were trying to find
it's
a way.
Not happening now.
We were trying to find a way to get Kevin involved today, so we'll figure it out. But yeah, good to be here. We're going to have a lot cooking today, and again, should be a fun show. And a lot going on throughout the sports world. You think about how everything is starting to die down in one area, but then now you've got baseball firing up and golf is getting going again. And it's just a fun time of the season, Kevin. You've been around a while. What do you enjoy most about this time of the year?
Oh, I look forward to the spring. It's such a special time, when the snow starts to finally melt. We can get outside and we can do some walking around. And, it's just it's a breath of fresh air, you might say. And as that spring comes about and the weather warms up, everybody gets ready for the lakes. And it's a special, opportunity to get over there. Hopefully you'll be able to get over to the lakes, do some fishing maybe.
Yeah, I wanted to do some ice fishing, but that's going to be gone in the first couple of weeks, right? Mm-hmm. Are you an ice fisherman? Did you get a chance to do that?
I went out one time. We had no luck, so don't ask me any questions about ice fishing. It went south for us really quick, but yeah, one time we were out this year. And those ice homes that they have now, they're Taj Mahals. You feel like you got movie sets up, and you're having your drinks, and you got your stew or whatever else you're eating, chili. It's just a fantastic opportunity to be on a lake ice fishing.
I have to clear the air about something today, too, that started up on Twitter a little bit, and then I've got some private messages coming in on Facebook. Micah, you probably saw this on Twitter last night. I posted something. It was a TV show that, I said Bridget makes me watch the TV show. I wouldn't say she necessarily she doesn't force me to watch it, but it's the honorable thing to do. When you have your spouse and significant other, you need to enjoy time with them. And there's probably shows that you watch that they don't like and vice versa. Well, there's a show that she watches pretty heavily that I'm not a big fan of. I think it brings out a lot of people's poor vocabulary. I get annoyed whenever I hear the word like every 5 seconds. So if you want to hear the word like literally 20 times a minute, just tune into The Bachelor. So that's what happened last night. I was watching The Bachelor, and there was a young lady on there, and it said she was a nonprofit owner. And as a business person in my former life, and had a company for 13 years, 14 years, and also understand how a nonprofit operates. I'm on the board, actually run a nonprofit myself. You don't own a nonprofit. And so I took a little beef to that, and I put it out on social media. I said, ABC, you guys got to look at this because you don't own a nonprofit. But I put that out there, and I said, full disclaimer, Bridget makes me watch this show. And now I'm getting a little reprimand this morning from folks saying, Rob, what are you doing watching The Bachelor, man?
I think that's how it starts. It's like, I got to watch The Bachelor. But then, man, after that first episode, it really hits. You're just like, hey, this show's pretty entertaining. Now it's reality TV, so you know what you're getting. But another word that they always say, vibe. Wow, I'm really vibing with this person. I really like to vibe with this person. So we get both of those key words in there that the younglings are always using on The Bachelor.
It takes me back to the days, and I don't know how we got into this discussion because we will take a break here in a little bit and we'll get back on track with some other pertaining information. But it just takes me back to the day whenever you're in high school or maybe those early dating years. But then things aren't really going well, and you're trying to figure out how to break things without being devastating. If you've got a good heart, you don't want to just slam somebody down. And so you always say words like, oh, that means a lot. I really appreciate you. Those kind of words. Or I really think a lot of you. And that's what this show is. Early on, whenever those relationships aren't working out, that's all you hear is, oh, I really appreciate you, and I think a lot of you. I think of you often. But, I will say this. Let me just get this out of here, okay? Bridget doesn't force me to watch it. I watch it because of Bridget, and I support her. There's shows that I watch. I watch The Simpsons, okay? I'm going to be honest about that. I've been watching The Simpsons since I was a kid. Bridget sometimes watches that with me. She absolutely hates it. So in return, I will watch shows like The Bachelor and those kind of things. Now, she did get me into like Law & Order SVU, and, rest in peace to the actor that passed away from that show here a couple of days ago, one of the actors. But I think you just got to be that guy and just support your significant other, Kevin. It's important.
Well, it's a good idea to do, but I'm not going to watch The Bachelor. I'm sorry, Rob. It's not in my bailiwick. I'm not going anywhere near that show.
Now, I used to be in the boat of, okay, I cannot watch The Bachelor. But now that I have a significant other and she likes The Bachelor, and I know a bunch of females that like The Bachelor, hey, I like The Bachelor too. I think it's pretty entertaining, and I think it's more fun to laugh at than actually care about the story. So that's where I really enjoy The Bachelor. I just laugh at the situation and how crazy and weird this whole thing is.
So take it for the entertainment value, and men out there, maybe. Well, Kevin, you've been married a long time, so it's worth. So you not watching it, if she watched it, works out great.
Well, I don't think my Bridget is interested in really watching The Bachelor either. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out when I get home tonight.
All right. Well, you never know what's going to happen here on the Insider. So that's a little insider information for you to get started here this morning. Again, thanks for joining in. Got a great show coming your way. Insiders, as always, brought to you by Proseed. If you need seed, think Proseed online at proseed.net. We'll have this day in sports history, also our poll of the day, and much more when we come back. Before we do, though, we've got some Sportsman Show tickets that I want to give away. We've got a lot to give away, so we're going to do this right now. This is the 2023 Red River Valley Sportsman Boat Camping and Vacation Show. Never too early to start thinking about boating and camping and vacationing. Happening March the 2nd through the 5th at the Fargo Dome. I've got 2 tickets that I want to give away right now. We'll do it to caller number 3. Caller number 3 will get these tickets, 701-476-1660. We'll be back on the Insiders.
North Dakota State football plays here. Bison 1660.
I think what makes Proseed win is we're different than the other companies in many ways with our programming, our simplicity, our non-corporate attitudes, and our personal relationship building.
What Proseed is, we bring back the old-fashioned seed buying experience. We're true seedsmen. We care about everything from the sale to the planting to following up afterwards. That's what we're all about, is just trying to bring that experience back to a personal level.
Need seed? Think Proseed. Proseed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
Something we hear often is, I didn't know physical therapy could help with that. I'm JT from Apex Physical Therapy and Wellness. With our patients, we take the time to work on muscles, joints, and exercises, all in one visit. Patients often tell us that their last therapy experience didn't do much for their pain, and that when they come to Apex, they feel great. We customize our treatments to meet our patients' needs. It's fulfilling to hear how much they've been helped by Apex. To let Apex help you out, schedule your free consultation today. Visit apexptwellness.com.
I'm Alexa, and my family chose Rusco Windows. We had quite a few consults come through, and Rusco, you couldn't beat the price point. And then they just had such a way with clear communication each step of the way.
Hi, this is Jeff Olson from Rusco Window and Cabinets. With 4 generations, 70 years, and over 1 million installations by our family, it's easy to see why we're your window and cabinet experts. RuscoWindowCompany.com.
It's Rusco.
Only Taco John's Valuist menu has the cheese-loving audacity to put nachos inside a burrito. Try our new Nacho Crunch burritos with seasoned beef for just $2 or grilled chicken for $3. The Valuist menu, only at Taco John's.
True taco lovers can't say Tuesday without thinking taco, especially at the home of Taco Tuesday, Taco John's. So this taco, head to Tuesday John's for Taco Tuesday for $1.19 deals on delicious beef Tuesdays. Tacos. Taco John's.
When it's time to make your next move, turn to Todd Kettermas with Beyond Realty to put the full court press on your home search. Whether you're looking for a quiet home in the suburbs or something downtown, let Todd Kettermas run the point for you in the search for your dream home. Call Todd Kettermas with Beyond Realty today or visit him at 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Todd Kettermas with Beyond Realty, moving the herd one home at a time.
With the rising threat of cybersecurity attacks, you need to ensure your business is fully protected. Data loss, ransomware attacks, and other breaches can disrupt your business and damage your reputation. Consolidated Communications Cloud Secure Service safeguards your business from these attacks by securing your network, data, and applications. We proactively monitor your security to prevent intrusions before they compromise your IT systems while protecting your staff in the office or when working remotely. Visit consolidatedcommunications.com/cloudsecure to protect your business.
Gearing up for another season of Bison football? We've got you covered each and every day on the Insiders on Bison 1660.
I feel glorious, glorious. Got a chance to start again. I was born for this.
Who's feeling a little glorious on a Tuesday morning here on the Insiders? We always let some of these music, these intros. Micah, our producer, let's be honest. I mean, the guy that runs the board, Ian's learning. He's doing a good job. Micah's over there coaching. But those guys that run the board, they're really in charge of the show because they can cut your mics off. They can edit in stuff. They can throw something up on there. You know, so you got to take care of those guys. I've worked at radio stations where guys in our seats today, like you and I, Kevin.
Right.
I've worked at stations to where those guys that are in our seats are rude to the producers. You never treat your producer badly because they will come. They'll come back and get you. So, Micah, you're doing a good job. Appreciate everybody joining us back here on the Insiders as we get going here in segment number 2, live as always from the Theraldson Ethanol broadcast studio. Theraldson Ethanol, one of the nation's largest ethanol facilities. This 175 million gallon per year ethanol plant is located just west of Castleton. Fuel your future by joining the growing team. You can always visit open positions online at theraldsonethanol.com. Back in here, Rob Hipp alongside Kevin Kessler joining us. Kevin, before we talk about this day in history and our poll of the day, because we got some interesting history that I want to go back on today that's really going to get people's brains flowing a little bit. Let's introduce you to Bison Nation for those that may not know you. You've been around a long time. Tell us a little bit about your history, how you got started, where you came from, and how long you've been a fan.
Well, you know, it's such a unique opportunity. I was working at Red River Commodities, and I was a sales guy over there. There was a lady there, Billy Joe, and she was the spotter for NDSU football team. So one day she said to me, her husband worked for the DEA.
What year was this, by the way, or how many years ago?
Well, it'll be 20 years this fall.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, 20 years this fall. And so all of a sudden, Billy Joe says, would you like to be the spotter for the NDSU football team? And I said, sure. I had no idea what the spotter was. I didn't know. I always admired the Bison, always watched the Bison whenever I could. I had no idea what the spotting role was. So it's like that was a new entry.
So you're just kind of hanging out, and then all of a sudden this random question comes to you saying, do you want to be the spotter of NDSU football?
Right on my lap. I'm
Okay.
going, oh, boy, yeah. She gave me Scott Miller's phone number. She said, contact Scott. So I got a hold of Scotty, and then he went down to the station and talked to him for a few minutes, and he kind of explained what he wanted and what the role was going to be, and that was my launch into being a spotter for the Bison.
What's
so
that
started that fall.
Yeah, and what's that journey? I mean, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in this area?
Yeah,
tell us something about
Can-Do,
that.
North Dakota. So a lot of Vikings fans would know the name of Dave Osborne, us older folks, and he was a running back for the Bison and Bill Brown and during those eras. And it was a great time. He would bring people from the Vikings organization up to Can-Do during a Lyceum. All of us could get all the autographs we could, so it was really quite a feature. So you just bleed, the purple. You just bleed it because you grew up with it.
That's great. And with the town, see, I'm still learning some of the geography. What was the town's name?
Can-Do.
Can-Do. You better not live in Can-Do if you're one of these negative people that doesn't want to get up and do stuff every day.
You better not.
Yeah, because you better have the can-do attitude in Can-Do, or you're gonna get knocked out of town. Let's
just
be honest.
outside of Devil's Lake. So how's that?
Okay. How big of a town?
About 1,200 when I was growing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Small little community.
So Kevin Kessler from Can-Do, North Dakota.
Can-Do.
Love it. Yeah. And then you've been doing it ever since. I mean, you go back 20 years. You got to work with tremendous folks, and you just mentioned Scotty Miller, and that's somebody that it just means so much to Bison Nation and the impact that he had and the legacy that he left behind. And I've been talking to a lot of folks and getting to know his history a little bit more. A gentleman that I wish that I could have had the privilege to meet. What was that experience like, just being up there with Scotty and being around somebody who was so passionate about the games?
Scott was a unique individual. He's so kind and loving and caring with so many people, and he was so interested to know your name and your family and how things were going. And he always made it a point to make you feel just at ease and comfortable right when you would meet him. And it was always about everybody else, no matter if you're a sports fan, if it was a player or whatever it was. Scott was just so in tune to each person and really gathering all that information out from those folks. And he was a studious person, so he would tell me, and baseball was one of his, he loved calling baseball. He said that was one of his favorite things to do as a broadcaster, was to call baseball games. And he'd like to paint that picture, the slowness of the game, being able to do the entries into it and how it was going to come out, and a pitch was coming, or whatever the pitch count might have been, and different things of that nature. So I would really appreciated that a lot.
So outside of football, did you ever get to hang out? I know you just mentioned baseball. Did you ever get to hang out at some of those games with him?
Yeah, we did. We got to go basketball games, go to some of the baseball games, the Red Hawks, he called the Red Hawks. So it was always interesting me how he would transition from, I remember one day he had to do a baseball game earlier in the day, then he had to do the Bison football game later on. So you're at a baseball game, now you're going to transition right into a football game, and those things don't really mix. So you have to get all these different play calling and how the game was going about, and the refs, and just smooth as silk. He'd just go over there and get the games going. It was amazing.
Great. Well, we're going to share more memories throughout the show today. One reason Kevin's in here, he's got a lot of history, and we'll talk about some of our favorite Bison football moments of this past season as well, and we'll continue that discussion with Kevin as well. I just love hearing the history. I mean, it just brings things alive and takes you back. It reminds me of, my grandfather passed away in 2000. He was second wave at Normandy on D-Day, and I remember his voice very vividly in my mind. He played music, played the fiddle. In fact, when we were with NDSU men's basketball at Oral Roberts, we were staying at the Marriott Hotel in downtown Tulsa, and we heard this loud fiddle music. And I thought, man, these speakers are really loud. Well, it was actually they were having a fiddlers convention. The coolest thing, I mean, you would think, like, what is this? You go up there and you see just literally hundreds of people up there in different rooms breaking out, playing the fiddle. But it's those memories that just take me back, and I go back and was actually able, after my grandmother had passed, found some of my grandfather's reel-to-reel tapes and was able to digitally convert those to digital so I could hear him. Hadn't heard my grandfather's voice in 20 years, and firing that up, boy, it just really brings back a lot of memories. And so when you do that, and that's why I like going back, because you relive history, and it just takes you back to a time when things were maybe for some people a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's an amazing time, Rob. My dad happened to be in World War II, and he fought on Guadalcanal. And my dad grew up in Animus, North Dakota. So you take a little farm boy, get in on a ship, go to Hawaii. They do some things there, and then they're off, and they don't know where they're going. And I'll never forget how he described, landing on Guadalcanal Island and what that was like. And it was talks about, we're unloading this ship. Water's turquoise, just this beautiful blue water, sandy beach, palm trees. And they're kind of walking around talking to each other, and all of the soldiers are doing their thing until they heard this wide, loud, whining sound, and then the explosion started happening. They were being attacked, and he didn't see some of his company for over 3 days.
Wow.
And so it's something that's burned into my mind, him describing that.
Well, there's a lot of memories when you go back and you think of history, and one reason why baseball is America's pastime. It's just a place for families to enjoy, sit there and eat a hot dog, and there's something about that baseball park hot dog that's always been really good for me. I guess it depends on the park, but I'll be honest, I've never been to any baseball park where the hot dogs have been bad. I don't. Have you? Have you ever?
No,
been? They're always good.
Yeah, as soon as I can get there, I'm gonna get a hot dog and get ready for the game.
So we go back. This kind of segues and leads us into this day in sports history. Wanted to talk about this today. Little new segment here this week. We'll talk about off and on. Can you guess the first time that a baseball game, and I'm talking like a major baseball game, had their first night game? And this was an exhibition, though. The first exhibition night game, the year. Micah, any guess on that? The first time that a night game was played, what year, an exhibition game?
Let me go early 1900s, 1905.
That's fair. 1931.
1931.
Did they have lights back in what year?
I believe electricity was invented before that, so I think we're good there.
All right. That kind of perks up another question now. Well, 1931, Chicago White Sox and the Giants played in their first exhibition night game. You and I were talking about this. I mean, it's something we take for granted now, especially you go into a basketball gym, and I know that's a whole different sport, but everything's lit up. But you're talking about an outside sport. Well, before this, you had to play during the middle of the day. This now enables millions of people to partake in a sport that maybe they hadn't been able to before because of schedules and work and all that. But that was the first exhibition game. It was several years later, though, when the first actual regular season game got underway, Kevin.
You know, it's pretty amazing. I happened to attend a game for the Cubs, and when we were there, they did not have the lighting at that time. And so they finally had lights brought into Wrigley Field August 8th, 1988. They played against the Philadelphia Phillies, and get this, Rob, a 91-year-old Cubs fan, Harry Grossman, was chosen to turn on the lights for that game. Can you imagine how that feeling must have been for him, never seeing a game in the evening?
Now, was this just the Cubs? Was it all of Major League Baseball?
That was just the Cubs.
Just the Cubs. So 1988
Right.
was the first time the Cubs had ever played there, I guess, on their home field at Wrigley under the lights.
Under the lights.
That's crazy to think about that because you go through so many years, and electricity's obviously been around for a long time.
That they may have been one of the last ball diamonds that ever have the lights turned on.
All right, well, there's your little this day in history for you. How about this one, 1948, and this is going to lead into our poll of the day question. I know there's not a huge fanfare maybe in this area, but we wanted to get some feedback. 1948, on this day, NASCAR was incorporated. And Micah, you've got our poll of the day.
I do have the poll of the day, and it is up and running. The early votes right now, people are on my side of it. I'm not a NASCAR fan, can't sit down and watch it. I might see some highlights of some crashes and who wins, but as of right now, 70% of the votes are coming in no, they do not enjoy watching NASCAR.
See, that's different because if you go down south, it's a big deal. Now, I'm not a NASCAR fan. One of my best friends is. He literally has the whole headset and everything. He'll go to the races up at Dallas. He'll put on he's got like the official logo and everything. You know what I'm talking about, like the radio headset to listen to the chatter. And I don't get it. Now, being around him, I'm not knocking him. Good dude. He actually got me into it a little bit because of that aspect. Just listening to the radio chatter and everything that goes into the works. But, you know, the Daytona 500 just happened here a couple of days ago. I got to say this, Kevin. If you don't judge a book by its cover, but your cover, if I'd walk by you in Texas, I'd say, this guy's a NASCAR guy.
I like NASCAR. I don't watch as much of it as I used to, but, you know, to see those races, and you can't wait for one of those crashes to occur, and all of a sudden, you know, it stops the whole race from going on any further. So, yeah, you got to get out there, and I like to drive fast, so don't let the cops know that, but get behind that wheel, and you're really wheeling around Fargo.
All right. Well, and there was some chatter. I was going to say this too, Kevin, but I respect you a lot. But you're almost borderline that guy too that has the hat on with the 2 beer cans with the straws. I could see you with that, Kevin.
I don't think that's going to happen, Rob.
We'll get a picture of that down the road. But you know, Fox was getting into some heat because they claimed that there was awful coverage of the race this past weekend, and it was because of the crash that happened. They were in the middle of the race happening, and they go to a commercial break right as that crash was happening. And you just mentioned, I mean, you go back and you think about, you know, there were some moments in the history with Dale Earnhardt, of course, very tragic, and him passing away, and that implemented rule changes. But the reality is, people want to see the crashes.
Yeah.
I mean, you just see cars going around in a circle, but the majority of people, I feel like, want to see no one get injured, but they want to see those crashes in these. And Fox cut to a commercial break, and that stirred up some heat over the weekend about them cutting to a commercial break during the crash.
Yeah, can you imagine if it's one of your drivers that you're passionate about, all of a sudden he's in one of these wrecks, and how severe is it? Is he going to be able to pull off? Are they going to be able to fix the car and get it back onto the race, or what's going to happen? So as a fan, I would not be happy if they cut away.
Final this day in history before we wrap up, as we'll take a break here in a moment. 1968. How about baseball announcing a minimum annual salary of $10,000? Wow, $10,000 back then. How far would that go nowadays, Kevin?
Not very far.
So that's
maybe a month and a half.
That's a little bit of this day in history. We'll step aside. We'll take a break. We've got Summit League Shootaround presented by Todd Cattermas of Beyond Realty. When we come back, this is The Insiders.
This is The Insiders on your exclusive home for North Dakota State Athletics, Bison 1660.
If there's one thing I know about farmers, it's that they are resilient. This is Scott Zolandic with Cornerstone Bank. Farmers are known to rise to ever-changing challenges, whether it be higher land prices and rent costs, risk management, or diversification. Cornerstone Bank offers an experienced team that you can turn to. If you're looking to save, borrow, or spend, Cornerstone Bank will find the best financial options for business, ag operations, and your personal needs. Come see us at Cornerstone Bank.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
In 1953, Bill Samuels created a simple bourbon, while Margie Samuels worked on her creative vision. A bottle, hand-dipped in red wax, wrapped in a hand-cut label, filled with handcrafted bourbon that elevated flavor and remains unchanged as of today. Aromas of woody oak, caramel, and vanilla, with a taste that is sweet and balanced with caramel, vanilla, and fruity essences. Every barrel of Maker's Mark is aged to taste, not time. Maker's Mark, the star of your home bar. Please drink responsibly.
Snow, ice, and below zero temps. Typical Midwest weather, but not so kind to your vehicle. That's why Jiffy Lube of Fargo is here to make sure you have your vehicle in top working condition and ready for these winter roads and temps. Oil changes are the #1 maintenance item that's neglected. At Jiffy Lube of Fargo, no appointment needed at any of the 3 locally owned locations. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, where you can do more in a jiffy. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, proudly serving the metro area for 5 decades.
Don't let your profits get stuck in your truck this spring. Dirt, rock, let it slide with Super Slide. Super Slide is a plastic, non-stick, self-lubricating, and seamless liner that eliminates haulback in your dump box or dump trailer. Super Slide is available in various grades, widths, and thicknesses, and Horn Plastics can have you in and out in no time. Get your new liner now to ensure you maximize productivity and profitability in 2023. Super Slide from Horn Plastics, created and preferred for every job. Visit hornplastics.com to schedule your installation.
Are you an electrician? Are you looking for a change? JDP Electric is looking for commercial, industrial, and service electricians. JDP is looking for both journeyman and apprentice electricians. You could start your career today with a family-owned and operated business who's been serving our community for over 20 years. Full-time positions available with great pay and benefits. Call 701-232-1991 or email info@jdpelectric.net. Start your new tomorrow today. Come be a part of the JDP difference.
Let's get ready to place your bets. Stop in to the region's favorite sportsbook. Dakota Nation Sportsbook offers something for every type of bettor. Follow your favorite teams on the wall-to-wall big screens inside of our action-packed fan-fueled venue. Food, drinks, and real-time odds. Bet on a winning combination of fun and action when you visit this Vegas-style sportsbook located inside of Dakota Magic Casino. We even offer stay-and-play packages. DakotaNationSportsbook.com. Must be on site to place bets.
Whether it's the FCS, NFL, or productivity at work, we have you covered.
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
It's the Insiders on Bison 1660.
Welcome back at it here, rocking and rolling on Bison 1660. The Insiders, Rob Hipp alongside Kevin Kessler. We're a little over the 11:30 mark. Appreciate everybody joining in across Bison Nation, 1660 AM, catching us on 92.7 FM and also on the Bison 1660 app. Always our favorite time here on a Tuesday as we get rolling here on the Summit League Shootaround.
The Summit League Shootaround.
Time to talk a little NDSU and Summit League basketball and what's going on from around the league. We will get started here as we bring on a good friend of ours joining us now, the voice of the St. Thomas Tommies, Mr. Corbu Status, joining us. Corbu, how you doing today, man? Always good to catch up with you.
Yeah, you too, Rob. Looking forward to, I never thought I'd say this, leaving the Twin Cities to Fargo to escape the storm.
Yeah, I was just about to lead in with that as well. What's the weather looking like in that area? You know, Andy here calls the women's games for NDSU. He had to leave a day early.
Yeah, we're leaving a day early as well to avoid it. And, you know, I just got done with the run, not trying to brag, but I did. It was 7 degrees. And so that was, it's sunny now. But it's going to be, the snow is on its way this afternoon. And so fingers crossed everybody gets through it and everybody gets home safe.
Well, Corbu, I had a great time just getting to know you there towards the end of the year back on December the 21st. It was a 78-68 victory for the Tommies men's program there on a 2-game streak right now, 12-2 at home. You guys 9-7 in the conference, currently tied for that third spot with NDSU. This is turning out to be a monumental end of the year all across the Summit with how tight the race is. Just talk a little bit about the success of the program this year and how things have really turned around.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to see their growth this year, and really the freshman class was as advertised. You know, they came in as the highest ranked recruiting class in the Summit League, and they have lived up to the billing. Andrew Rohde was better than I think even the coaching staff expected running the point, and I think he's a lock for Summit League Freshman of the Year. And then they fit in so well with what the Tommies were bringing back with those seniors in Riley Miller, Parker Bjorklund, and Brooks Allen, the main contributors of that senior class, that it took them from being a well-run team that could just shoot the threes to being a well-run team that can shoot threes and drive to the basket and rebound and block a shot. So now they're a little bit more rounded, and all of a sudden you see them jump and almost double their win total from last year. They won 10 games last year. Right now they're sitting at 18. It's going to be tough to try and get to 20 with that North Dakota road trip coming up and the Summit League Championships, but still, for year two, Division I program, that's pretty dang good.
So, Corbo, this is Kevin Kessler, and I have a couple of quick questions I'd like to ask you. First of all, what is the name Carbu? How do you come about with the name like Carbu?
Okay, Kevin, I got a whole long list of that question that I normally give, but I'll just give the serious answer.
All right.
I was named after Le Corbusier, who is a French architect. His American nickname was Corbu. My dad was an architect and thought that would be a good idea.
Well, that's pretty awesome. That was quite a story. So you mentioned the freshman Andrew. Did he start out? Can you give us a feel for how he started out in the first part of the season and how he's grown to what he's doing today?
Yeah, I think he came out and he was the starting point guard for the Tommies right off the bat. And I think he was pushed into it a little bit. The Tommies were hoping to have Drake Dobbs run the point a little bit more, but then he wasn't eligible after transferring from Liberty, so they had to wait till the end of that first semester. So he was kind of forced into running the show for the Tommies. But the way he played prior to the season started, I think they had their full confidence. I mean, you look back to a multi-team event in Montana where he had the ball in his hand to take the winning shot to beat Troy in like game 3 of the season. So they relied on him pretty early. Where he has grown is his maturity in going from it's my turn to go one-on-one with somebody to being more of a facilitator, to understanding what is a good basketball shot versus what's just the shot that I want to take right now. And I think he's also come in as he was a humble guy, I think, to begin with, even though he does play with some flash. He's open to the seniors. He loves being a part of the program, and I think that maturity he has matured more as the season has gone along.
Again, we're talking to Corbo Status here, play-by-play man for the St. Thomas Tommies. Our friend Ross Uglum from the Bison Report, he put out a tweet the other day saying that there's 3 players in the Summit League that are averaging at least 15 points a game, 4 rebounds, and shooting 50% from the field. He mentioned Grant Nelson and Bowden Skunberg. Also has Parker Bjorklund that you just mentioned. Bjorklund is on that list as well. Do you kind of feel like this guy could be an all-league ballot coming up here at the end of the season?
The way he has played in the Summit League, I think so. I mean, especially down the stretch here, he has really gotten, I don't want to say better, because I think he was really good to begin with, but he has improved on what was already a big foundation. Remember, guys, this is just his 3rd year of college basketball. He didn't play for 2 years. He was just playing intramurals because he thought he was done with basketball, didn't want to really pursue it, got the itch, decided to try out for the team, and now all of a sudden here he is in year 2 of Division I basketball. So he is getting better at each and every season. Now the second half of Summit League, he's started to hit some threes. He's hit at least 4 threes 3 different times in Summit League play, as somebody who had hit just, I think, 10 threes combined his first 2 years playing college basketball. So he's added that part to his game. He has shown some crossover moves besides just back to the basket moves. Everything has gotten better for Parker Bjorklund as we come to the end of the season. I don't know if that makes him a first-teamer yet, because it's a really good top 5 players in this league, but I think he definitely deserves a spot at least on that second team.
One of the talking points of the end of the season in the Summit League, it's all about matchups sometimes, and who do you think St. Thomas matches up with the best of the top half of the Summit League in the tournament down in Sioux Falls?
Oh, that's a really good question, and I don't know. How's that for an answer?
That's a great answer.
I can tell you that when St. Thomas is hitting their shots, when they move the ball well and they're hitting their shots, I think they can run with anybody. They played a great game against ORU. They then turned around and shut out Kansas City, essentially winning by 30 and limiting them to just 43 points and holding them for 15 minutes without a field goal. So they're starting to put it all together. But, you have those teams like South Dakota where they are stumbling down the stretch here, and St. Thomas lost to them twice. So it's the only team that the Tommies didn't beat this year so far outside of Oral Roberts. So I think it depends. The length of North Dakota State could be a real problem for the Tommies, and we'll see how Andrew Morgan and Grant Nelson, how they do. And if they go off, the question is, can the Tommies shut down everybody else? So top half of the league, I don't know, maybe Western Illinois, maybe North Dakota State, but again, I think they're still trying to find that consistency that would allow me to really give you a solid answer to that question.
Corbu Status, radio play-by-play man for the St. Thomas Tommies here on the Epic Companies Hotline. I mean, some big victories this year for St. Thomas. You go back and look at versus South Dakota State, won that one 60-54. Taking care of business versus other teams such as Kansas City in a dominating victory, 73-43, and then also defeating Western Illinois. That's coming back now on a 2-game win streak there at Western, 82-69 after defeating Kansas City. We've talked about that success. You mentioned a little bit about this NDSU matchup coming up here on Thursday in Fargo. What do you think the X factor is going to be in this ball game? What do the Tommies have to do to win on the road, an area that they've only picked up 4 wins this season?
Yeah, I don't think they can hit those dry spells that they sometimes run into when they've gotten into trouble, especially on the road, is when those dry spells have extended for 10 minutes, especially from behind the arc. Listen, people are going to miss shots, right? Nobody's going to shoot 50% from the floor for the entirety of a half, right? You're going to have some dry spells. The problem with St. Thomas is that they've had dry spells that have lasted 10, 11, 12 minutes where they go 1 of 10 from behind the arc, and they just can't survive that way. So they're going to have to be a little bit more consistent from behind the arc. If they are, that, of course, opens things up a little bit more on the interior, and that would allow them to hang, especially if the other team gets on a run and the Bison, for example, are just feasting off of Nelson and Morgan maybe, or Skunberg starts to go off. Then St. Thomas is going to have to find a way to negate that, whether that's shutting or slowing down somebody else just enough or really staying hot from behind the arc.
Corbu, good insight. Looking forward to seeing you here in Fargo. Safe travels in, and can't wait to see you, my friend. Thanks, as always, for all you do.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rob. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, there he is again, Corbu Status joining us on the Epic Companies Hotline. We will shift gears now and go
the South Dakota State Jackrabbits.
To the South Dakota State Jackrabbits as we talk a little more here, this time with our good friend joining us on the Epic Companies Hotline, Tom Neiman. Tom, good to hear from you. How you doing today, my friend?
Hey, Rob. How are you? I'm literally online looking at snowblowers right now, so that's how we're doing down here.
Well, I got to tell you, I may have one for sale because my neighbor has been doing. I went out and bought a nice one, and then I realized I don't even need it because the neighbor has been doing my yard for me. So,
Tom, you're just getting to a snowblower now?
I haven't ever had one. No, I've tried to man it out, and it's dumb.
Yeah,
and there's too much snow, man. So yeah, I need one.
Yeah.
Well, Tom joining us here. Appreciate your time as always. There with Midcoast Sports, covering South Dakota State and others. It's been a weird season this year in the Summit League. It's kind of been the storyline here is you got ORU at top, but then South Dakota State not having a bad year at all as well. They're currently sitting in that second spot in the Summit League and on a 12-4 record right now in the Summit. Just what have you seen throughout the Summit this year and highlight a little bit about South Dakota State and the success that they've had?
Yeah, it's been strange to us, I think, in the Dakotas because it's been North Dakota State and South Dakota State for so many years on the men's side, and that's shaken up a little bit this year. St. Thomas doing so well, and Western Illinois and Kansas City are right there in the mix in the middle, and ORU doing their thing again. And last I looked, ORU was a projected 11 seed, and man, if they can get through and get to the tournament and represent the league, that'd be a pretty good spot for them in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, it's been a little strange just from that perspective in South Dakota State coming off a year where they went 18-0 in the Summit League, and they lost Baylor Shireman, they lost Doug Wilson. That was the story to start the season. And then another guy they've had out all year is Luke Apple, and I think that's kind of thrown them off until really this point in the season because the Jacks have had some younger guys. William Kyle's a true freshman. Matthew Moores is a redshirt freshman who's playing his first year, and those guys kind of got thrown in there with Apple being out and then Apple was going to come back, but then he had surgery again, so it got even weirder. And even Matt Dentlinger, the other big guy for South Dakota State, has kind of had to adjust his role. So the Jacks have been kind of playing catch-up all year and had some other injuries thrown in there with Charlie Easley. So I talked to Eric Anderson this morning, and he said we're healthy as whole as we've been all year, and about as healthy as we're going to get as far as having guys, and they've kind of got that 7-man rotation set now. So they're as good as they've been all year, and he's kind of fought through it. And for them to be 12-4 right now, I think is a pretty good job of coaching by Coach Endo.
And Tom Neiman joining us here on the Epic Companies hotline. SDSU on a 6-game win streak after that overtime loss at Western Illinois, 73-81 back on January the 28th, but really starting to fire on all cylinders here when it matters most down the stretch. But nothing easy in the Summit, as we just talked about, finishing up at home versus Kansas City and then Oral Roberts. What does SDSU have to do in these last two to find a way to continue that win streak?
Yeah, Kansas City, I think, is going to get here. I think the games are going to get played for one thing, but Kansas City, the Jacks played them to a 1-point game in Kansas City, won that 167-66. But KC's one of those other teams, that they added so many new guys this year that nobody was sure what they were going to have, and they're the best offensive rebounding team in the league right now. They've got some animals on the glass, got 2 really good guards with Raquanis Mitchell and Shamari Allen, and so the Jacks are kind of looking at those 2 factors going into this game on Wednesday. And if they can get by that, they have Oral Roberts circled, because it's been 68 days will be the length between that first blowout for ORU in Tulsa in the first game of the Summit League season, when they just blasted SDSU, beat them by 39 in that first game. And they weren't really talking about that today in practice, but that's in the minds of the Jacks, that they want another shot at ORU coming up on Saturday. So that should be really good to close out the regular season. It's not going to make any difference in the seeding, but be interesting to see if SDSU can get them. And, North Dakota almost got ORU on the road last weekend, and we've been thinking somebody's going to get the Golden Eagles, but nobody's been able to do it yet. So should be a really good game coming up here on Saturday in Brookings.
Tom, this is Kevin. You had mentioned that Matt Dentlinger had changed his role. In which ways has he changed his role, and is that going to impact the ORU game?
Well, he last year they sat him down. They sent him to the bench last year. He wasn't playing well, and they sat him down last year and made him a reserve instead of a starter. He'd been a starter for 3 years before that. So it was really last year that they kind of made that move. This year it's been, again, with Apple being out, and Apple was such a scorer for the Jacks in his previous seasons there. Dentlinger's, his really role change this year was that he had to turn into a scorer, and he's really done that. And it's, there's certain guys that don't have that mentality, and he's just one of those guys that, you got to kind of urge him to go out and take 15 shots a game if that's what it takes. But that's kind of been the difference for Dentlinger this year, is they've looked to him to score, and along with Zeke Mayo, Dentlinger's their second leading scorer behind Mayo. But those 2 guys in the screen and roll have been really good, and so that's kind of been the difference for Dentlinger this year in his 6th year in the program, is that they've started to look to him to be a scorer, and he's done that lately.
Tom, obviously all eyes have been on ORU. That's been the talk of the Summit as well, and how great that they have been playing, continuing to dominate. Where do you see some vulnerabilities of this team? In NDSU, if they're, and you don't want to play on that narrative, but a few more threes that could have went the other way. Mm-hmm. But the Bison held them to under 37%. I believe that was only the second time this season, and then under 46%. That's the second time that a Summit League team has held them under. What are some of the vulnerabilities for Oral Roberts?
That's what I've been looking for. Something I don't know, because Asmus doesn't always lead them in scoring. They got the big man Vanover, who's been really good for them this year. Vanover had 21 in that game when they beat SDSU. Asmus, I think, had less than 10 points in that game. So it hasn't always been Asmus, leading them in scoring. They've got McBride, who's one of their other guards, who's played well all year. Weaver comes off the bench. They've got another big kid that comes off the bench that can score. It's just you can't count on, if you shut down Asmus, then you've got a chance to beat them, because they've got so many other guys doing it right now. So, like you said, if they come out and maybe they have a terrible game shooting the ball, maybe it's a 35% or something like that, still, even then, I don't know. I think they've just had so many guys that have picked them up all year. They've been healthy all year. It's just going to take one of those nights where they are off and you're on, that maybe somebody's going to get them here in these last couple of games.
Yeah, we were joking around on the Insiders yesterday and said, I'd rather them be upset by defeating them in the tournament versus having them come into the tournament upset, beating them in the regular season.
Yeah, right. I mean, you look at it at a league perspective, and they've been so good all year. And if they get through and win the Summer League tournament, that you got to say, great for you guys. Let's go represent the league in the tournament and maybe get another win there. But yeah, I mean, SDSU would really love to get them on Saturday, but if they could get them in the Summer League tournament and kind of disrupt things there, all the better for the Jacks. But it depends on how you're looking at that, I guess, from a league perspective or from your own perspective.
Well, do us a favor. Don't beat them at the end of the year just because we don't want them to be upset coming in. All right, Tom?
I don't think anybody's going to be able to get them. I mean, the Jacks could play really well, and they played really well at home, and nobody in the league has beaten SDSU at home so far this season. And as you said, SDSU's been winning in different ways. They've been had the offense really rolling, and then they had to come from behind like 18 points in the last 13 minutes at Denver last week to win that game coming from behind. So Jacks are on a little bit of a roll, but man, I haven't seen ORU in person. Maybe that's why I don't believe that they are as good as they are, but I really think they are.
All right, well, there he is, Tom Neiman. We appreciate you and all the fine work that you do. As always, you're a friend of Bison 1660. Thanks for joining us today.
Guys, always appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
There he was again, Tom Neiman, Midcoast Sports, covering South Dakota State down there to that state in the south, that town to the south. But we appreciate Tom, does a great job. And that will wrap it up here on the Summit League Shootaround. It's always brought to you by Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty. Todd Cattermas, a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Give Todd a call today at 701-371-4234 or visit him at 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. It's Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty, moving the herd one home at a time. We'll step aside. We'll take a break as we wrap up the hour. Coming up, the passing of a legend.
Hear the herd here. Bison's 1660.
Dakota Refrigeration, now known as DRI, has been serving Minnesota, the Dakotas, and Montana for over 4 decades. Locally owned and operated since 1974, DRI is a full-service source for your refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electrical service needs. From the entryway to the kitchen, from hot to cold, from dreary to bright, DRI has you covered. DRI, formerly Dakota Refrigeration, with locations in Fargo, Bismarck, and Minot. Online at dacref.com.
In 1953, Bill Samuels created a simple bourbon, while Margie Samuels worked on her creative vision. A bottle hand-dipped in red wax, wrapped in a hand-cut label, filled with handcrafted bourbon that elevated flavor and remains unchanged as of today. Aromas of woody oak, caramel, and vanilla, with a taste that is sweet and balanced with caramel, vanilla, and fruity essences. Every barrel of Maker's Mark is aged to taste, not time. Maker's Mark, the star of your home bar. Please drink responsibly.
At Batteries Plus, we power family road trips. We power bedtime stories. We power our local hospitals. We power connections with friends. We do more than replace batteries and fix phones and tablets. We help our neighbors power their lives. How powerful is that? Visit Batteries Plus in store, curbside, and online for fast and reliable phone and tablet repair. Learn more at batteriesplus.com.
Experience is what builds the future of glass at Cardinal IG in Fargo. Cardinal IG is leading the industry in the development of superior glass for the residential window industry. Their highly motivated and talented employees design and manufacture the best glass in the industry. This February, Cardinal IG would like to say thank you to Michael Johnson, Elisa Henjum, and Elizabeth Victor, who are all celebrating their first year at Cardinal IG. To view open positions or to apply, visit cardinalfargo.com. That's cardinalfargo.com.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
It's back. Fargo's official St. Patrick's Day pub crawl presented by Bud Light.
Grab your friends and your green gear and head downtown March 11th for the official St. Patty's Day pub crawl.
Kickoff at 1 p.m.
Grab a passport at any of the participating bars and enjoy the St. Patty's Day specials.
Get your passport stamped at each location to receive the commemorative St. Patty's Day finisher medal at the Old Broadway.
Find all the details on Facebook.
Special thanks to the Bridges Apartments.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
It's the St. Patrick's Day pub crawl presented by Bud Light.
Hi, Jeff from a Cutting Edge Gallery of Jewelry, and I'm here to talk about lab diamonds, guys. No matter what it is, an engagement ring, a pair of earrings, a diamond pendant. You come to a Cutting Edge where we guarantee you the biggest, whitest, brightest diamond no matter what your budget. And now you're going to save money on the mounting besides. You get to pick between 2,600 mountings to find the perfect ring for her, and we're going to match it up with the perfect diamond that fits your budget. A Cutting Edge Gallery of Jewelry.
Here for you, for all the Bison football coverage you can handle.
These guys do an unbelievable job, and you want to know what's going on in Bison sports? Tune into the Insiders.
The Insiders on Bison 1660 and 92.7 FM.
Back at it here on a Tuesday on the Insiders. Thanks for joining us as we approach the noon hour. Rob Hipp alongside the Kevin Kessler, Micah Bendy. Ian joining us as well, learning the ropes behind the scenes. Just gave me a little wave back there. So he's already knowing, man. I mean, back there running, giving a wave, taking care of business. He actually brought us back into that segment, so continuing to do great work. Kevin, been fun so far here in the first hour. I wanted to make sure that we bring this up. Someone that I didn't know personally, knew of, saw him a couple of times, but also had connections to the Minnesota Vikings. A man that leaves behind a tremendous legacy. I think something that all of us should follow as far as philanthropy. And look, you don't have to be wealthy to help people, to give back to people. Now, this particular gentleman was very wealthy, but he utilized his resources to give back. The passing of Red McCombs, a businessman and involved in a lot of sports ventures, passing away just 2 days ago, actually. It was yesterday, 2 days ago in the evening on February the 19th. He was 95 years old. Owner at one time of the Minnesota Vikings for 7 years or so. I believe he purchased that team for around $250 million, and then 7 years later turned around and sold it for over $650 million back in the early 2000s. Knew business very well. The Minnesota Vikings putting out a statement saying the Minnesota Vikings are saddened by the passing of former team owner Red McCombs. Red embodied his famous Purple Pride phrase and remained such a staunch Vikings fan after the passing the torch to the Wilf family in 2005. While Red had a clear passion for sports, it was evident what he loved the most were his children and grandchildren. Our thoughts and prayers are with the McCombs family during this difficult time. We will be forever grateful to Red and Charlene's contributions to the Vikings. 95 years, young, born in rural Spur in Dickens County in West Texas. The nickname Red came from his red hair. That's how he got it. And his father was a mechanic who earned just $25 a week, but tithed through the First Baptist Church of Spur each week. McCombs recalled having seen his parents, quote-unquote, share with those who had less, and the joy of giving never ceased to amaze me. He saw that from a young age, and that's how he carried his life, Kevin.
It's amazing when you see somebody like Red and what he, as a man, that bigger personality and just being out front and always trying to give back to the communities that he served. It's an amazing feature of a person, and you want to emulate that if you can in your own life, and you really bring that out as you walk your journey, because each of us get to walk those journeys, and you never know who you're going to touch, as Red impacted so many.
Down in the San Antonio area, he attributed the construction of the Hemisphere Arena there in Texas, the essential development to the success of the Spurs. He contacted many folks there, the president of Ford Motor Company, to seek funding for the arena, the 1968 World's Fair. At first, LaCoa only offered him $250,000 for the purchase of an art object, but then he scolded McCombs and ridiculed San Antonio as that quote-unquote little old dusty, I won't say the word, but town of yours down there with no political or economic significance to the Ford Motor Company. But Red was able to work through that and helped get that project going as well. He also took over the Spurs, being an owner of the San Antonio Spurs. Had their first superstar under him with George Gervin, the Iceman, who was recruited from the Virginia Squires. 2 years after taking ownership in the Spurs and the NBA, McCombs sold off his stake and bought another former ABA team. He's been all over the place. With the Denver Nuggets, he held on to that team until 1985. He sold it. And then 1988, he bought the Minnesota Vikings, as I mentioned earlier, for $250 million. And after an unsuccessful attempt to replace the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, McCombs sold that Vikings team there to the Wilf family before the 2005 season. He was also actively involved in thoroughbred racing and breeding for many years as a major partner in the Womack Farm, a leading American breeding farm in Kentucky. McCombs also one of the first investors of the Circuit of the Americas, that in Austin, Texas, December 2020. he got his own corner called Big Red. I was starting to wonder, it'd be cool if the Red Zone was named after him, but of course that didn't happen, but it could have been. But not for him. One other thing, too, that I wanted to mention about Red, because some of you today may be struggling with this, and this is a very serious subject. McCombs was a reformed alcoholic. And I know folks who have been through tough situations, but Red, he always said he could handle his social drinking, but until the age of 48, when he overcame with convulsions, he went into a 5-day coma at a medical facility there in Houston. He said in a Christmas 2016 interview, God was good to me for whatever reason, wanted me to live because I was really dead when I left in 1975 to go to Houston on that medical plane. They told his wife, go ahead and start making arrangements because we are losing him. But he turned his life around. Red McCombs, a philanthropist, an honorable, just amazing man to society. Again, passing away at 95 just a couple of days ago. We'll step aside. We'll take a break. Wrapping up the first hour, we'll start the top of the hour talking about our favorite Bison memories from the past season. And also, here, let's do caller number 4. I've got some NDSU basketball tickets to give away. Men's basketball, how about a pair to each for St. Thomas on Thursday and then Western Illinois on Saturday. You can get those tickets. Caller number 3 to 701-476-1660. 701-476-1660. Caller number 3. We'll be back after this.
Love is in the air.
It's a brand new day.
Birds are singing duets together.
And squirrels are chasing each other across the treetops.
Everyone has a twinkle in their eye.
Boom, chicka-boom.
Don't let junk get in the way.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
And you'll be back to your old self again.
We've got magic in our fingertips.
And that's why everyone starts dancing.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
When it's time to find a realtor, word of mouth is important. And Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty is a name Bison Nation says often. Todd has helped everyone from coaches and administrators to broadcasters and former players and their families buy homes in the FM area. So many in Bison Nation trust Todd to buy and sell their homes, and you can too. Call Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty today or visit him at 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty. Moving the herd, one home at a time.
We take great pride in really doing all the research and the work behind the scenes to make sure that our products just work.
We have our own staff member that helps pick the hybrids and the varieties that work in our area. It's meant for you, not for somebody 200 miles away.
We test our seed locally. We produce our seed locally, so we get to see our production fields, where they need to be, and if they work there.
Need seed? Think ProSeed. ProSeed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
It's Chris Hansen, and for years we have trusted the experts at Rick Electric. Since 1964, Rick Electric has been the go-to for residential, commercial, and industrial. And right now is a great time to consider having a Generac whole home generator installed. If the power goes out, you'll barely notice because of an automatic seamless transition. For work in Fargo, Moorhead, Hawley, Horace, Glendon, Dilworth, Kindred, and everywhere in between, it's Rick Electric at rickelectric.com.
Acme Tools continues to grow. Their new Kubota dealership building is under construction in South Fargo, and as Acme grows, so does their team. This family-owned business of over 75 years is now hiring for many positions, including diesel and Kubota techs, electric and lead service techs, warehouse leads, sales associates, and more. Working at Acme is not about punching a clock. It's enjoying each day at a family-owned business that believes in providing great pay and benefits for their employees. Build your career and apply online at acmetools.jobs. So I can buy the Chevy truck for $4,000 less than invoice?
Yes, you can at Gateway Chevrolet in Fargo. Up to $2,000 customer cash or 2.9% financing for 60 months. Plus up to $2,000 loyalty cash on select new Chevy trucks. Shop the savings on all new Chevrolets today at Gateway Chevrolet. Save thousands with 2.9% financing for 60 months on select models. Only at Gateway Chevrolet in Fargo. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB West Fargo, KPFX HD3 Kindred, and K224FD Fargo. Bison 1660, powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here
Here's what you need to know.
Brooklyn Nets coach Jacques Vaughn will be with the team for the foreseeable future. ESPN reports Vaughn and the Nets agreed to a multi-year extension that will keep him in Brooklyn through the 2026-27 season. Vaughn became the interim coach following Steve Nash's departure and then had that designation removed earlier this season. The Chicago Bulls are shutting down Lonzo Ball for the rest of the season. He's been dealing with persistent discomfort and pain in his left knee after having multiple surgeries in 2022. NFL media reports Chiefs receiver McCole Hardman had groin surgery this morning for an injury he'd been dealing with last season. He's due to be a free agent. NFL media says the Eagles have interviewed University of Michigan defensive coordinator Jesse Minter for their DC opening. The New York Post says Colts quarterback Matt Ryan is interested in a career in broadcasting once he retires from playing. He's under contract for next season with Indy. And the Cleveland Browns have fired special teams coordinator Mike Prefer. I'm Nick Cope.
You've got the insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. That's right. The 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders. Insiders.
Rob Hipp and Andy Rickoff.
Here we go. A little bit afternoon here, 12:08. Just extended a little bit here as we get started here. Second hour on the Insiders. Thanks for joining us on a Tuesday. Can't tell outside the studio window here. We're here from the Theraldson Ethanol broadcast studio. Is it cloudy out there, Mike? I was trying to take a look. Is maybe a little bit more snow, 2 to 4 inches expected today?
It's just got that normal winter haze that we usually have in North Dakota where you can kind of see the brightness of the sun, but you can't see the actual sun.
Does it ever remind you of Eeyore? Here we go. It's kind of cloudy today. Not very nice outside. Do you ever feel like that?
You are from Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah.
Kind of. Winter's kind of like that in North Dakota, but hey, we're kind of shifting out. We're in the winter/spring where we'll have a second winter. That's what we hit now. Then we're going to hit spring again. Then we're going to have another winter again where it's just we can't decide what winter or spring season we want.
Well, if you've got those winter blues, you'll love this segment because we're going to turn those blues around and we're going to make things bright and sunny. It's Kevin Kessler is here with us in studio. Appreciate him joining us here on a short notice on the Insiders today. It's our spotter for NDSU football. By the way, I don't think I told you earlier, you've done a great job, and thanks you for so many years. And my first year being here, I've enjoyed getting to know you, Kevin. You became a great friend and do incredible work, my friend.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. It's been an enjoyable time and getting to know you and your family, and being welcome into the Northland. It's a tough road to hoe when you get all this cold weather and you're used to nice warm winters, I would imagine.
Yeah, my mom said today it's going to be 90 back at home north of Austin. I said, where did that come from? But as I promised, it's we'll turn that blue around if you're feeling a little bit blue today. Wanted to mention some favorite Bison football memories from this past season. I know that I just wanted to kind of bring it back because football's been over for a little while now. There's still a lot going on. We're well into winter sports winding down or getting started, and then after that we'll have spring sports. But baseball is underway, golf back in action. But I know there's still some folks looking for that football fix, saying, I really miss football. Spring football's right around the corner. But Kevin, you've been around a lot, especially this year. You've been with us. What was your favorite Bison football memory? I've got mine, but I'm going to let you go first.
Well, I think one of mine always has to be is Hunter Lipke. That man is such a beast on the field. When you see him and you see the defensive backs get out of his way, he's doing something right as a Bison player, and he just mows them down. Likens to me to Coach Roll when he played against the Gophers, and he outran the defensive backs, and it was just an amazing time. And that's what I love about watching Hunter Lipke. And it may be in one of the same ones as you, Rob, that Arizona game when he was down there, and I think, some 100 and some yards that he was able to get on that game. Hot, it's down in Arizona, and you're in a hostile environment. I know we didn't win the game, but that kind of evidence of how you play at Bison football was so great to be a part of and watch that game.
I think for me too, being at Arizona and watching him, yeah, you're right in that game. I believe over 110, 120 yards rushing, had some receiving yards there as well, a touchdown. Had a really dominant game following up, though, at versus South Dakota where he rushed for 150. But, going back to that Arizona game, for me, first year being here, seeing Bison Nation down there in Arizona was phenomenal. I mean, it was just a sea of green and yellow gold everywhere. And the thing that outside of the game that really it kind of made me think, wow, it does get hot down here. We're talking about an AstroTurf field that had a sprinkler system on it to cool off the field.
It did not.
Now, that's not my favorite memory, but that's something unique that I'll never forget. I've never been in a facility to where it's so hot that the AstroTurf actually has water to cool it off.
That's pretty amazing.
Micah, I know you weren't producing for us. Cole Ilanimi did those games, but you keep up with them. What was your favorite memory from this past football season?
Technically, I am in studio. I do cut your highlights, so
you are. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I'm in studio with you. I'm with CY.
You never hopped on the mic this year. How did I not know this?
I don't know. It's not just a one man show, so we got to make sure that it's a whole team here. But favorite Bison memory from this past year, it's got to be that Incarnate Word game. That was my best game. That was my game of the year, and I think me and you have the same favorite moment of this year that we're just going to share here in a little bit.
Yeah, that was my favorite memory. You go up against Lindsey Scott Jr., setting all sorts of records at the FCS level. Dominant performance by him. It was a game where the Bison only passed for 5 yards, but still victorious in a 35-32 victory over Incarnate Word, kind of the team that I had pegged as that sleeper team. And Karl Shoening will be joining us in the next segment talking NBA, and I'll question him about Incarnate Word because he did some of the play-by-play this year as well. He was at that game, calling that game for UIW. But it was by far my favorite game because that was the game that sent you to Frisco. And it really wasn't, as you look at the game at the whole, I think for me it was coming down to the wire, how well the Bison played in that game, the defensive efforts, Dawson Weber with 2 interceptions, but there was none better than the one that sealed that deal to Frisco.
For a moment, the chains have moved, and now they'll whistle it back into action. 1st and 10 from the 33 of the Bison, or on their own side, rather. Here's Scott, fakes the handoff, trying to find a way, eludes defenders at the 30. Heaves this one up over to the left side, has a man down there. This one is up. It's intercepted by the Bison. It's intercepted by Dawson Weber. It's intercepted by Weber. Oh, mama, what a play. Dawson Weber with his 2nd interception of the ball game. That may be the one to seal the deal to Frisco, baby.
And that was the one that sealed the deal to Frisco. Now, it wasn't because I called that. My favorite part of that, besides the interception, was Phil Hansen in the background. Come on. I just love Phil. I love being up there in the booth with him. Those were some of my favorite memories. That game by far, but then just being up there with Phil and getting to talk to you. Such a special season this year for our kids down there and for us to be able to witness that. What a privilege.
Well, Rob, I got to give the listening fans here some background. So when Rob's doing that call, I'm standing right next to Rob. And I'm telling you what, he's like tearing apart the booth because he's just up in his arms. He's got screaming, and it's just going on. And it's such a great opportunity to watch you perform, in a different way. I get to see you and Phil and what's going on in the game. And it was just a superb call. And it was so much fun. And your excitement and your enthusiasm just came through in spades.
It was awesome. And again, Bison Nation just being out there and being loud. Big shout out to Bison Nation. When you're up there in the booth, you do have to draw that line and maintain a professionalism, but I think sometimes, too, you got to be a fan. And it's okay to be a fan unless you're on a national broadcast, but even Kevin Harlan gets a little bit worked up. But that was a fun one. Really proud of our guys this year and looking forward to the year coming up. A lot of great recruits on the way, and I know that you mentioned a couple of those guys, but hey, I'm excited about this upcoming fall, Kevin.
I am too. You look at the recruits that didn't get a chance to play yet, and how are they going to fashion out there some local players that Carson Hagerly that I'm really interested in, be a wide receiver for the Bison, hoping to see what he can produce on the field. Is he going to be as good in the college game as he was in the high school games? Because he just tore it up. And really a complete athlete when you look at him and what he was able to do. So it's going to be fun for us to get into the spring practice here, not too far distant, and get to some of the practices and see how we're looking.
Absolutely. Well, if you've got your favorite memory, feel free to call us. Let us know, or you can even text us at 701-476-1660. You can also email us on the Rick Electric email inbox. You can email us at studio at Bison 1660. Also want to thank all of you that are joining us on the Facebook feed here on the Horsch Cam. You can tune into the Insider streaming live on Facebook, courtesy of Horsch. It's Horsch, farming with passion, and online at Horsch.com. I believe we do have a call. We'll have Karl on here in just a few moments after a break, but let's head over now to the Epic Companies hotline. It's our good friend John joining us from West Fargo. John, what's on your mind?
Hey, man. Just love listening to you and what you're doing today and things to talk about. Thought I'd change the subject just a little bit, if you don't mind.
Change it up. Let's do it.
All right. Here are my favorite mascots.
All right, I love this.
All right. Number 1 is the Horned Frogs.
TCU, I like it. Texas,
Yep.
okay.
Number 2 is the Razorbacks.
Okay.
Number 3 is the Cornhuskers. Now, these are originals. That's why I like them.
Okay.
Let's see. Number 4. Number 5, I got the Hoosiers. Number 6, the Sooners. Number 7 is the Boilermakers, and number 8 is the Shockers, Wichita Shockers. The one I missed, number 4, is the Leathernecks. Love the Leathernecks.
All right.
All right, and the ones I can't stand are the Bears, the Lions, the Tigers, those kinds of those. That's so unoriginal. So unoriginal. So those are my top 8 there, and see what you think of them.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? I the only one that I don't agree with, and John there on the Epic Companies hotline, thanks for the call. The only one I don't agree with on your list is Oklahoma, because I have zero respect for the Sooners. Just being from Texas and the big, I just have no respect.
Come on, you got the Sooners?
No respect.
Well, I don't know how it happens at all.
He doesn't like the Bears, Tigers, or Lions. Oh my!
Yeah, I was about to. Why didn't he say that?
I was just gonna interject and be like, "Oh my, you don't like those?"
Goodness.
Yes.
All right. Well, John, thanks for that. It's always good to have a little break in the action. So that was John from West Fargo. Get on the Epic Companies hotline. Want to remind you too, the Insider's always brought to you by our friends at Proceed. When you need seed, think Proceed online at proceed.net. We'll step aside, take a break. Coming up, Karl Shoening, good friend of mine, joins us on the Epic Companies hotline to give us an update on where things are at after the All-Star break in the NBA, maybe an update on Incarnate Word as well. We'll be back in a moment. This is the Insiders.
Where the Bison roam. Bison 1660.
So most companies claim they have good people, good product, good customer service, but the question is how often. We go the extra mile to take care of our dealers and our growers, and more importantly, their families and their customers.
Proceed tries to bring a family-like experience. Farmers, we want to understand what their challenges are. We also want to bring products to them that help them overcome those challenges so that they can be as successful as possible.
Need seed? Think Proceed. Proceed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
Acme Tools continues to grow. Their new Kubota dealership building is under construction in South Fargo, and as Acme grows, so does their team. This family-owned business of over 75 years is now hiring for many positions, including diesel and Kubota techs, electric and lead service techs, warehouse leads, sales associates, and more. Working at Acme is not about punching a clock. It's enjoying each day at a family-owned business that believes in providing great pay and benefits for their employees. Build your career and apply online at acmetools.jobs.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. Don't forget about our 29-degree man-sized drafts. Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for the E-Club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/peaks-club to get started today. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Shop the largest new vehicle inventory in the area, only at Corwin Auto. Corwin Auto has over 600 new vehicles available, and one of them can be yours. You heard me. Over 600 new cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers for you to choose from. With inventory like that, you don't have to settle. Find exactly what you are looking for. Have a trade? Get top dollar when you purchase any new in-stock or incoming unit. What are you waiting for? Head to any Corwin Auto location today, or shop online, corwinauto.com.
About a month ago, we had some unexpected plumbing issues. We called Valley Service Mechanical in a panic and were pleasantly surprised with the professional that came to our rescue. He took the time to explain the issues to us, and you could really tell he enjoyed what he was doing and the pride he had representing Valley Service Mechanical.
When your heating and cooling needs help and your plumbing is on the fritz, call Valley Service Mechanical, 701-293-5701. Online at valleyservice.net.
At Batteries Plus, we power family road trips. We power bedtime stories. We power our local hospitals. We power connections with friends. We do more than replace batteries and fix phones and tablets. We help our neighbors power their lives. How powerful is that? Visit Batteries Plus in-store, curbside, and online for fast and reliable phone and tablet repair. Learn more at batteriesplus.com.
Hail the Bison right here, your home for NDSU sports. This is Bison 1660.
Rocking and rolling here on the Insiders on a Tuesday. It's chilly outside today here, but always sunny and 72 here in the Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Studio. Theraldson Ethanol, proud partner with Summit Carbon Solutions, helping reduce the carbon footprint by capturing, transporting, and permanently storing CO2 emissions, cutting carbon intensity in half. Again, welcome in. Thanks for joining us here on the Insiders. Rob Hipp alongside the Kevin Kessler, Micah Bendy, and Ian back there running the dials for us as well. Let's head back over to the Epic Companies hotline. Keeping him waiting here for a few moments, my good friend Karl Shoening joining us. Karl, good to have you back on. Not a first-time guest. You've been on a couple of times. How you been doing, my friend?
I am still very bitter that you guys somehow managed to defeat UIW with only one catch for 7 yards in the semifinal game. That was man, how? I guess y'all just play smash mouth football up there at North Dakota State, but still, like that was quite the impressive statistical win.
Karl Shoening did the some play-by-play there for UIW this season. Gave us some insight. We'll talk more about kind of maybe what's in store for UIW here in a little bit. Karl, what was your thoughts of being up here in Fargo?
I am currently out on my balcony, not a cloud in the sky. It is 76 degrees. The birds are singing, and my cat is purring. So you guys, I think I heard something along y'all's lines of it's -6 up there. I'll just say that I guess the trade-off is it's 112 sometime during July down here.
You know, Karl, that really can start a resentment on North Dakota.
No, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I wasn't really smart. I walked about a mile in whatever temperature it was back in December, and y'all just had a snowstorm that it was what it was. But yeah, I shouldn't have walked a mile. Y'all are tough up there in the cold.
I'm glad that you said, what did you say, like -7? Because I was told up here, don't say negative. It's like 7 below. So I've learned that must be a Texas thing, Karl. So thank you for bringing that up, because that doesn't that gives me somebody to kind of lean on to now to say, no, I wasn't saying it wrong, because that's how we say it down south. And then the second thing is, you said it was the sunshine and the cat was purring. That sounds like a new country hit, new country song.
Oh, yeah. My cat demands to go outside sometimes, so she's right here at my feet, and I'm just enjoying the nice, cool air out here. But, always happy to be on with you guys, talk some NBA, talk some, college football, see what we got going. It's always college football season up there in Fargo, ain't it?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Particularly, I know NBA fanfare not tremendously huge up here, and Timberwolves sitting a game above 500, I believe. But, we come out of that All-Star break, Karl, and you've been around the NBA a long time. You've been fortunate enough to do a lot with the G-League as well, with the Austin Spurs, calling some of their games as well. But you grew up around basketball. You cover the NBA. What are you seeing this season? Things just seem, to me, a little bit different and unique. What are you starting to see this year in the NBA, and what's really standing out, especially after this All-Star break?
Do y'all know those signs that say we have gone 0 days without an accident, or, 110 days without an accident kind of thing? Well, in the NBA, my favorite meme is the NBA has gone 0 days without being overly dramatic. And this year is pretty much on point with that. You got a lot of trades. Obviously, you had the whole Brooklyn fiasco. That was just a dumpster fire. Everybody was watching from a distance until they finally had Kyrie and KD traded. So that was a big trade deadline, probably the biggest trade deadline of the NBA's history of trade deadlines. You have LeBron scoring the all-time points record, breaking Kareem's record, which I think we all knew would happen eventually, but it's obviously cool that it's finally happened. And, you have the an active player who's the all-time leader in points scored. And, all of that being said, the Lakers are still just crawling to get into the play-in.
So there's a play-in tournament that's only reserved for the 7, 8, 9, and 10 seeds in the Western Conference and Eastern Conference, and the Lakers, despite all their star power, are not there. So they got a lot of work to do, so they made a fair amount of trades. So really, this second half of the season, quote-unquote, even though we're kind of two-thirds of the way through the season, kind of comes down to who's really going to win the trade deadline now that the pundits can stop talking and the players can start playing. And, you mentioned Minnesota sort of being North Dakota's team. They went all in, more or less, on a player named Rudy Gobert. They traded, I think, 5 first-round draft picks for him. And that was a move that's not quite paying off how they want, but they are in that playoff picture. So, really, we'll see what happens here in this second half. If they can get hot and maybe make their way into the solidified playoff spots, that'll be great. But the Western Conference is just as tough as ever with all the trades that have gone on.
I wanted to shift back to the All-Star game and the All-Star weekend. Is there a way to fix what the NBA is doing right now, or do you have any thoughts or theories that you think could fix what's happening right now with the NBA All-Star game?
It's almost like the Pro Bowl in the NFL. These guys are multi-million-dollar athletes that are going out there trying not to get hurt. So no defense. It's obviously much bigger at the football level because you're talking about you don't want anybody really banging your head in. But that's a question that's kind of age-old. The best All-Star game that I've ever seen in my life was the 2020 All-Star game, which was back in February 2020 before the shutdown, and everybody was really excited to get the first Kobe Bryant All-Star MVP trophy because he had just passed away, and I think it meant a lot to those players to go out there and play hard for Kobe. But, hopefully we don't have a legendary death every year that would motivate players, So what would motivate players? No, I don't know if there's a fix because these guys are basically doing high-intensity cardio on hardwood for about 6 months at this point. Like late February, they kind of don't want to be there, but they do. It's a nice fanfare event, but yeah, how do we make it competitive basketball? Maybe open up the checkbooks and say, hey, the winning team gets like $10 million each. But, that just seems unrealistic, obviously, because you're talking about 15 players. So what is that, $150 million pot? I really couldn't tell you what the answer is on that without being unrealistic with monopoly money that's not mine.
Karl, I want to keep it basketball here, too, just on one more question, then we're going to shift gears. But, tying it a little bit to the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards made a comment as he sat down with ESPN, I believe it was Malika Andrews, over the All-Star weekend. And he's 21 years old. I'm all about confidence, but you know me, Karl, like sometimes I think maybe you get a little bit too much confidence. Well, he told her that he said he's the best player in the NBA. I wanted your thoughts on that. He sat down with her and told her that. He goes, and this was during, he says, I think myself, whenever she asked, who's the best player? I mean, straight up, he goes, I think myself because I play both sides of the ball. And he said that his ceiling is higher than anybody's.
Yeah. You're talking about guys that are the 1% of 1% of athletes in the world. These guys are top 3,000 athletes in the world. They're just playing basketball. So when you're talking about the all-stars, now you're getting even into the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. So these guys sort of have that mentality, maybe going all the way back to high school. And Anthony Edwards has always been a very overly confident young man, but certainly somebody that can back it up. He's extremely talented, and he was a really good number 1 overall pick. But, I like a lot of what he said in that interview. He also spoke out against this whole load management thing that's going on. He's somebody who wants to play all 82 games. Yeah, he's somebody who wants to go out there and put on a show, and that's the sort of attitude I actually like in the NBA. There are worse attitudes to have than, you think you're the best player. Now, if it gets into, locker room drama, then it's not a good thing to have. That could be another issue. But, if you're somebody who just has the confidence and you carry yourself like you want to be the best player on your team and you are the best player on your team, and thus, the next step is being the league MVP or being in that conversation of the best player, I don't really have an issue with that. I like Anthony Edwards. He's a he's kind of a comedian to me. I enjoy him, and if anybody saw that, I'm blanking on the name of it, but there's an Adam Sandler movie on Netflix. He was really good in that. So it was based around the NBA, and Anthony Edwards. I like him. He's a young star in this league, and I don't mind confidence on these young guys.
Karl Shoening again joining us on the Epic Companies hotline as he has done work for Incarnate Word, covers the NBA and all things sports. Karl, I got to shift gears. You knew this question was coming, and I didn't really feel either way about the Super Bowl. Once the Cowboys, and I know that you're not a Cowboys fan, but you're Philadelphia Eagles. Man, I'll be honest, my heart told me that the Chiefs would win. My gut told me that the Eagles would win. My gut was wrong. How have you handled the Eagles after that tough Super Bowl game?
That is a deep wound you just reopened right there. It's still trying to heal up a little bit. I admit that they were two evenly matched teams, and even though Bradbury admitted to the hold that basically won the game and set up the game-winning field goal for the Chiefs, I think the vast majority of football fans agree that it wasn't egregious enough to call in that situation. Go ahead and give the Chiefs that field goal. They got the third down stop because that pass it wasn't pass interference; it was a hold. So that wasn't really enough to say that it was a decision you should have made that basically ended the game. And that's something that the Chiefs have more or less gotten lucky on back-to-back games. You go back to the AFC Championship game. But when you talk about that particular play, that's gonna haunt my dreams when I think about the Super Bowl 57 Eagles, because they're a great young team. I'm looking forward to the future, but I really wish that the flag had stayed in the pocket and Jalen Hurts had maybe a minute 30 and a timeout left to go down and get another field goal. And then, I think everybody would have preferred the opportunity for the Eagles to have a chance to send it into overtime or outright win it. But, we're never going to get that. And very anticlimactic, really. That's a bummer that basically the officials threw a flag on what could have been a 50-50 call, because plays like that happen all the time. And, they say you can call holding on every play. So in that particular case, don't call holding. But, that's me as an Eagles fan. But I know that a whole bunch of football fans that had no dog in that hunt decided that that was going to be a bad call that will kind of taint what could have been the greatest game in, recent Super Bowl history. So, you want overtime in Super Bowls, and they kind of robbed it from us, I feel like. But, I will say that the Chiefs were a really good team, and they were two evenly matched teams, and it did basically come down to who had the football last. So congratulations to the Chiefs, and let's not talk about the Super Bowl again, please.
All right, we're moving on. Final question here for Karl. Appreciate your insight on that as well. I wanted to ask you just one question, UIW, and it's just because of the matchup there in the semifinal coming into Fargo. We're definitely keeping our eyes on Incarnate Word here and throughout this offseason, and once we get going again this fall. Where are they headed? Can this team get back to where they were at last year?
Well, we don't have enough time left in this segment to talk about how much they were sort of stripped with players either going into the NFL draft or running out of eligibility, or coaches getting basically better jobs. When G.J. Kinney was hired by Texas State, he pretty much brought the entire staff with him. But Clint Killough has was a quarterback at UIW. He's been at UIW as a coach for 4 years. It was finally his turn to become the head coach, so they hired him as the head coach before that North Dakota State game, before they even left for North Dakota, so everybody could kind of ease their minds a little bit about who was the next coach, and they got those in order. And he did a tremendous job filling up his staff. I really enjoy the young guys he brought in. Maybe the most notable name is Kenny Hill, who was a quarterback at Texas A&M and then TCU. He's going to be on that offensive coaching staff. And then when you look at their recruiting class, they just reloaded. They got Zach Calzada. So you're talking about the only FCS quarterback who can say that he defeated Alabama, right? And he has 3 years of eligibility left. So that's a pretty good get. And then just across the board, a lot of FBS, a lot of FCS, or excuse me, a lot of FBS and a lot of P5 transfers came in. I think there might be a couple FCS transfers, but they reloaded. So it's going to be a very different look team in terms of personnel. Who knows what's going to happen with play style, because obviously when you're changing so much in the coaching staff, you might not be able to necessarily pull off the basketball on grass style that they had. And I will be very interested to see what happens with them, because, you're talking about a lot of holes that they had to fill. But on paper, when you're talking about National Signing Day and all the announcements to the coaching staff, they look like they're ready to be one of those top 10 FCS teams once more, just not the usual suspects that it's been last year and the year before, when they were starting to show that they could become the team that they were last year.
Awesome. Well, Karl, as always, good stuff. Thanks for the insight. We'll definitely have you on more often and continuing to chat about what's going to happen throughout this offseason heading in to the fall. Again, Karl Shoening, thanks for joining us again on the Epic Companies Hotline.
Hey, appreciate it, y'all. Anytime.
All right, there he is again, Karl Shoening, voice of Incarnate Word Cardinals and also covering the NBA and all things sports. We'll step aside. We'll take a break. Still have more to come here on The Insiders. Stay with us.
You're listening to The Insiders on your home for NDSU sports. Bison 1660.
Quit hitting snooze for the same old thing every single day.
Oh, no.
There's more to life. What about a career in the hottest and most exciting industry in the world? A career at Radio FM Media selling audio, digital, and event marketing is for people that are self-driven, personality plus, multitasker, persistent, have a creative streak, and love the idea of having a career instead of a job. This is a six-figure sales job for highly motivated salespeople. Does this sound like you? Send your resume to Jessica at RadioFMmedia.com. Hey, business owners, you have your banker, you have your insurance guy, but do you have your door guy? Now you do. DavTech Window Services also specializes in commercial door and window repair and replacement. DavTech is proud to be known for their excellent commercial services as on the NDSU campus. Choose the door and window experts that will deliver top-rated products, as well as the experienced technicians that do it right the first time. A decade of service with a century of experience. Online at DavTechWindowServices.com. That's DavTechWindowServices.com.
Shop the largest new vehicle inventory in the area, only at Corwin Auto. Corwin Auto has over 600 new vehicles available, and one of them can be yours. You heard me. Over 600 new cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers for you to choose from. With inventory like that, you don't have to settle. Find exactly what you are looking for. Have a trade? Get top dollar when you purchase any new in-stock or incoming unit. What are you waiting for? Head to any Corwin Auto location today or shop online, corwinauto.com.
Theraldson Ethanol in Castleton is accepting applications for an E&I technician. Applicant must have experience with electrical and instrumentation repairs and maintenance of large machinery and equipment, as well as a willingness to learn procedures for the ethanol industry. Journeyman electrical license or greater is required in addition to 3 years of experience. Work Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Apply online at theraldsonethanol.com or email your resume to hr@theraldsonethanol.com.
Are you an electrician? Are you looking for a change? JDP Electric is looking for commercial, industrial, and service electricians. JDP is looking for both journeyman and apprentice electricians. You could start your career today with a family-owned and operated business who's been serving our community for over 20 years. Full-time positions available with great pay and benefits. Call 701-232-1991 or email info@jdpelectric.net. Start your new tomorrow today. Come be a part of the JDP difference.
These days, we're all looking for ways to save some cash. Have you looked at your insurance? Talk to your Nodak Insurance Company agent, because the more you insure with Nodak Insurance, the lower your premiums. Work with one local agent to package your home, autos, or excess liability, everything you care about. Then watch the savings add up. Ask your Nodak Insurance agent how you can save with a multi-line discount. Nodak Insurance Company, agents with answers.
2 hours of sports talk every weekday, 11 to 1.
Well. Oh, my gracious.
Now, let's get back to the Insiders.
Welcome back to the Insiders. 1241 here in Fargo. You betcha. Thanks for joining us here on 1660 AM, 92.7 FM, and the Bison 1660 app.
Rob, you have that down. You betcha. You got it right there.
Well, it switched from Texas of you better believe it to you betcha.
Now you just need to give me a Jiminy Christmas.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas. That wasn't it though, was it?
No, that's
not. Oh, you gotta like elongate. Oh, Jiminy Christmas or Christopher, that also works.
Christopher. Okay, I'll work on that one.
Yeah, work on those.
Welcome back in here to the Insiders. Kevin Kessler joining us in studio. Micah Bendy, you just heard from him. Ian running the board as well. I'm Rob Hipp, as always. A lot of fun here today. Appreciate everybody joining us. Our good friend Brian Smith joining in. Said happy Tuesday earlier. Horns up, go Bison. Always a great show. Appreciate you, Brian. Also said Mr. Kessler. I like that, Mr. Kessler.
Okay.
You weren't too far from me growing up. He said he is from Edmore.
Oh, yes. Been through Edmore many, many times.
Edmore. And yours was, what was the town again?
Can do.
Can do.
You
That's
can
right.
do everything in Can do.
You can do everything in Can Do, North Dakota.
go.
Little Bison basketball updates for you on the men's and women's side. We'll start with the women, as a couple of Peak Performance Awards going out. Heaven Hamling tabbed as the Ticket Smarter Summit League Peak Performer of the Week. It's the third time this season, and she has been named that. With that honor, they announcing this yesterday afternoon. Hamlin averaging a team-high 25 points per game to help the Bison in back-to-back wins over Kansas City and Oral Roberts. How about this? She shot 62.1%, 18 of 29 from the field, and 50% from beyond the arc. Impressive numbers there for a young lady that continues to be a dominant force for the women's basketball program. The Grand Rapids, Minnesota native, also adding a team-high 11 assists with 6 rebounds and 4 steals to her stat line. She had a team-high 21 points, the game-high 5 assists, 5 of 8 from the 3 in the 86-75 win over Kansas City. She also closed out the weekend logging her 20th point game of the season with a game-best 29 points on 10 of 17 shooting from the field in that 103-86 win over Oral Roberts. Yes, you heard that right, 103-86. They're putting up over 100. So congratulations to her and the women's basketball program, rocking and rolling as they are on the road. And we will be catching up, hopefully, with Andy Rickoff to give us some insight after these games later on this week. But women's basketball, phenomenal season, the best that they've had in a very long time.
Yeah, that's really an impressive, stat that she was able to shoot those kind of score that way in that game and all those threes, and pretty amazing for that young lady to be able to accomplish the features that she's been able to do. Just loved it.
Continuing to be dominant. And then on the men's side, not to be outdone, we mentioned heaven first because ladies always go first. So Grant Nelson named the Summit League Peak Performer of the Week on the men's side. So how about that for Grant Nelson as he claimed that honor? League officials announcing that yesterday. Nelson posting a pair of double-doubles where he averaged 23 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 blocks in a pair of road games for the Bison as he picked up the first weekly honor of his career. That's kind of hard to believe because the way Grant has been so dominant, that was his first time getting the Peak Performer of the Week award.
That's really surprising because he has 6 double-doubles in a row now. That's very surprising to me. And do you know what both of these players have in common right now? Both of these players are putting up stat sheet stuffer type of games. When you want those types of players that can do it all, they can score your points on the offense, they can grab offensive and defensive rebounds, they can dish the ball, they can steal the ball, they can get the occasional block on the defensive end. Doing it all, that's the type of players that you want on the Bison.
Yeah, Grant Nelson opening the week. He scored 22 points, pulling down 14 rebounds, blocking a career-high 5 shots in that road victory, a huge victory at Kansas City. The Devils Lake, North Dakota native, registering 7 offensive rebounds to help post his league-leading 8th double-double of the season. The last 6 of those, as Micah mentioned, in a row. Nelson recorded his 9th NDSU's next outing at Oral Roberts, where he pushed his streak of consecutive games with a double-double to 6, finishing with 24 points on 11 of 19 shooting, adding a game-high 12 rebounds to go with 3 steals. So the big fellow, the unicorn, not just blocking shots, but, man, he's ripping them down, too, stealing from these guys.
He leads NDSU in all categories, not only in Summit League play, but for the whole season. Points, rebounds, assists, any category you want, steals, blocks. He's doing it all, and that's the type of performance you need from your top guy like Grant Nelson and your top guy like Heaven Hamling.
Yeah, and check this out. Now he is averaging a double-double in league play, 19.8 points per game, and leading the league with 10.1 rebounds per game. Again, those are your Summit League Peak Performers of the Week, both NDSU women and NDSU men on the same week getting that accolade. We'll step aside. We'll take a break as we close it out. Before we do, though, we've got some more tickets to give away. And how about this? We've got the Sportsman tickets. We're going to give away 2 of those. Also, and that's for the men. Maybe there's some women out there. That's okay. Whatever you like, it's okay. Perfectly fine. But, if you're the lady and you like the Home and Garden, well, here you go. We're going to give away the Sportsman Show tickets and a pair of Home and Garden tickets. So a little back-to-back weekend action out there for you. It'll be a fun time. This is the Red River Valley Home and Garden Show, taking place February 24th through the 26th at the Fargo Dome. I've got 2 of those to give away, and also 2 of the 2023 Red River Valley Sportsman Boat and Camping Show tickets at the Fargo Dome, also March the 2nd through the 5th. So 2 tickets to each of those, weeks apart from each other. It'll be a good opportunity. We will get you on caller number 6. Caller number 6 at 701-476-1660. We'll get those. We'll step aside. We'll close it up, wrap it up when we come back here on The Insiders.
This is The Insiders on your home for NDSU sports. Bison 1660.
What do concussions, sports injuries, post-COVID long hauler, and chronic pain all have in common? Inflammation. At Healing with Hyperbarics, we are treating your inflammation the natural way with 100% oxygen, no referral needed, same-day appointments, and weekend availability. Now is the time to let us help you heal. Check us out on our website, healingwithhyperbarics.com, or on Facebook. Healing with Hyperbarics is your one-stop shop for total body wellness, conveniently located on 45th Street in Fargo.
Golf Addiction has it all. A full-service bar with great food and the industry's best golf simulators. And right now, they have the best golf deals. Check out the 2-3-4 deals Sunday through Thursday from 8 to 5 at Golf Addiction. Play 2 hours of golf for only $50, 3 hours just $75, and 4 hours of golf for only $100. Grab your friends and get golfing again at Golf Addiction and enjoy discounted golf. Your favorite cocktails, cold beer, and food all at Golf Addiction, your indoor virtual golf bar and grill.
Jeremy here at Horsch in Mapleton. Did you know that Horsch manufactures premier planting, seeding, and tillage solutions right here in the FM area? We are proud to be a family-owned business based out of Germany and would love for you to join our team right here in Mapleton. We offer competitive pay, full benefits, and paid family time from Christmas to New Year's. Please visit Horsch.com to view our current openings.
About a month ago, we had some unexpected plumbing issues. We called Valley Service Mechanical in a panic and were pleasantly surprised with the professional that came to our rescue. He took the time to explain the issues to us, and you could really tell he enjoyed what he was doing and the pride he had representing Valley Service Mechanical.
When your heating and cooling needs help and your plumbing is on the fritz, call Valley Service Mechanical, 701-293-5701. Online at valleyservice.net.
Put that tax return to good use this year by paying cash for your next vehicle at Corwin Public Wholesale. Shop over 300 used vehicles at wholesale prices with vehicles starting at just $900. You might even have some cash left over. Cars, trucks, crossovers, and SUVs. They have it all at wholesale prices. Get more for your tax return this year at Corwin Public Wholesale. Corwin Public Wholesale, where your tax dollar goes further this tax season. Located right on the I-29 frontage road, Fargo.
Jeff at a Cutting Edge Gallery of Jewelry. We guarantee you the biggest, whitest, brightest diamond, no matter what your budget. It's never meant more than it does today, because with the lab-grown diamonds at a Cutting Edge, we have partnered up with one of the largest growers in the world. We have all shapes in stock. So if you come to a Cutting Edge, you get to go through about 2,600 mountings to find the perfect mounting for her, and we'll match it up with the best stone that your budget can afford. Come to a Cutting Edge Gallery of Jewelry.
Missed portions of today's show? Go to bison1660.com to listen to the podcast or find us on Facebook and Twitter at bison1660.
Winding it down here on the Insiders on a Tuesday with Kevin Kessler.
Sounding pretty good, Ian. I like that.
Ian, yeah, Ian's got the jams coming back to our ears there. Appreciate that, Ian. Man, I just, sometimes I walk in here like Micah. Micah always elevates. He always elevates the atmosphere.
He sure does. The first time I met Micah down in Frisco, I just knew that right away. He elevated the whole room.
So the elevated of the atmosphere is there. You can come into the studio and, everybody's entitled to you can have a bad day. Everyone does. But I think it's good to always try to find a way to get lifted up every day. Even if you're having a bad day, you can still have a good attitude. And Micah Bendy, thank you for elevating the atmosphere. No matter what's going on, you walk in, it's kind of like, all right, Micah's here. Everything's cool.
I feel like you do the same way. It's always good to uplift people. You never know who's having a bad day, who's having a good day. You spread some positivity, some confidence, and then it's contagious. It goes contagious. Goes into other people.
It is. Wrapping it up here on the final segment. Kevin Kessler, speaking of positivity, confidence. You have some questions you're going to throw at us.
Do.
You're kind of limited. You're doubting my confidence now with these questions that I don't know what they are.
No, these are going to be one that I think you're going to enjoy. So I'd like all you to chime in on this question I have for Rob, for Micah, and Ian. Okay.
Oh, Ian's getting into the mix, too. He's like, what's going on?
All right, here we go. So which current or former NBA player does Grant Nelson remind you of?
Oh, that's a really good one. Andre Karolinko comes to mind for some reason for me. Just I like his length, how he played, how he stretched the floor. He could block shots. I think of Andre Karolinko, AK-47 with the Utah Jazz back in the day.
All right, awesome.
I'm gonna say the early to mid days of Tim Duncan, someone that is very versatile on the offensive end, and just like his presence, very calm. You don't see Grant really get like too high or too low. He's just right in the middle always, and that's how Tim Duncan was. Very like quiet, but like a hell of a competitor and just an outstanding basketball player.
Okay, I went old school. Ian, do you have one?
No, I think Micah nailed it. Just Tim Duncan's nickname, the Big Fundamental. I mean, what better way can you describe Grant Nelson than that right there?
I was thinking of Tim, but I didn't want to say him because I'm a Spurs fan, and I'm a big Tim Duncan fan. So I went the other way, AK-47.
Oh, yeah. All right, there you go. Well, I went with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Dr. J. He's a combo man. So when he goes from the free throw line all the way and does that huge, massive dunk that he does, that reminds me of Dr. J. You guys don't know who he is.
Oh, yeah.
No, these two. They're too young.
Oh, yeah, he does. Micah does. Micah's
really?
over there pounding his chest.
All right.
That was, yeah. that was like yesterday whenever we were talking to Jay. We were talking to Javis Miller, basketball player. He was here on the Bison Basketball Radio Show last night. Great to catch up with him. Great young man, but it really starts to date you because we had mentioned Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Javis goes, "Who's that?"
Oh boy!
And I was like, "Oh man, this is." And Andy was even like, "Yeah, this is making us feel like we're getting up there." I was like, "Yeah, trust me, man. Those questions when I've asked people, they've really started to hit me now too. Because there's songs that I mentioned to the guys on the road trips. They have no idea. I was like, "How do you not know that was the greatest hip hop song ever written? We never even heard of them." I was like, "I guess my music's bad then."
Well, Grant performing, and maybe that skyhook, he does a little more action on that skyhook, but he has some nice ones that he does. So that's my two guys, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Dr. J.
All right.
That's Grant Nelson.
There it is from Kevin Kessler. It's Kevin's Moments here on Bison 1660. And that was good. And I was surprised that Andre Karolinko came to my mind right away.
Yes.
Because I just think of the length and man, those were fun days watching those games. And then you even go back, and I'm not comparing Grant Nelson to a Karl Malone or a John Stockton, of course. But whenever I think of duos outside of San Antonio, and I think of maybe a player, of course San Antonio had the three. They had the big three. But when I think of teams that had a combination, right away you got to think of Shaq and Kobe. That's the number one that pops into my head. But then I also think of Karl Malone and John Stockton. What a unique two guys out there on the court.
Their combination on the floor was unstoppable. They were so good.
So, and this is when it's fun to talk about NBA. Whenever you throw it back and you go back and you look at the history. Because, man, things for me have just gotten a little stagnant over the last few years. I'll be honest. Maybe it's because I've been more engaged in college sports broadcasting. But it's just not – it doesn't feel the same to me anymore like it felt growing up.
Well, the way they played basketball back in the day, I think it was a lot more professional than it is today. The holds, the pushing, the shoving, the things that they do today, they didn't really do that in that level back then. They would be called for to follow. And when you follow somebody, you might get followed out. So it was a different type of sport, I think, the NBA basketball back in the day.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, been fun to have you on today. I think we've got, about a minute or so remaining here. And just wanted to say thank you again. Appreciate you being here with us today. Been a lot of fun. We're going to have to do this again and have you on.
Let's do that. I appreciate that. One other question maybe you can ask our coaches for the women and men. If they have a roster of 13 and 14, why don't they have a 15th? If they can get up to 15, I'd like you to ask the coaches, Coach Richmond, and see what it is. I'd like to know that.
Good question. So that was the question. If the rosters can handle 15, why do you only have maybe 13 or 14 on? I know that you can have like 13, I believe, on the bench, if I'm not mistaken. Micah, you got any insight on that with the rules of the roster management and how that works?
No, not exactly, but quick research here on Google should help us out right there.
Yeah, we'll have that for you coming up maybe tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Here on the Insider. Been a lot of fun today. We've got a great show lined up again tomorrow as Kyle Emanuel back in studio with us here while Andy's remains on the road with women's basketball. Kyle Emanuel will be joining us. Also, how about this? Wes Offerman, Athletic Communications with basketball, men's basketball. He's also going to join us on the show. So we'll continue that discussion with NDSU men's basketball as we're down to the final week. We may look at a little bit of college brackets that could potentially be lining up as well. And then Micah and I will go over, and also with Kyle, we'll talk about franchise tag players. Who could some of those players be that are the franchise tags? So a lot to talk about. And Kevin, we'll have to have you back on again sometime soon, man.
Sounds really good. I really appreciate the time, getting to know Ian and Micah and being at the show today.
And Kevin, you and I are working on a project, too, that we'll talk about here before too long. Want to give away some more basketball tickets? I've got them here. Caller number 7. Caller number 7, as I got a pair of tickets, 701-476-1660. We'll see you next time. Horns up, and go Bison.
It's a new year and a great time to remind you that you should have 2 routine dental visits a year. The best way to stop dental issues is to detect them early or stop them from happening in the first place. It's Amanda, and I smile with confidence because of the team at About Smiles Dental. They've been caring for my family's smiles for years. At About Smiles Dental, their name says it all. Your smile is their top priority. Plan ahead and call now to book your appointments. We love the team at About Smiles Dental, and you will too.
Snow, ice, and below zero temps. Typical Midwest weather, but not so kind to your vehicle. That's why Jiffy Lube of Fargo is here to make sure you have your vehicle in top working condition and ready for these winter roads and temps. Oil changes are the #1 maintenance item that's neglected. At Jiffy Lube of Fargo, no appointment needed at any of the 3 locally owned locations. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, where you can do more in a jiffy. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, proudly serving the metro area for 5 decades.
It's Chris Hansen, and for years we have trusted the experts at Rick Electric. Since 1964, Rick Electric has been the go-to for residential, commercial, and industrial. And right now is a great time to consider having a Generac whole home generator installed. If the power goes out, you'll barely notice because of an automatic seamless transition. For work in Fargo, Moorhead, Hawley, Horace, Glendon, Dilworth, Kindred, and everywhere in between, it's Rick Electric at rickelectric.com.
The story of the nurse and the foot pain that nearly brought him down.
I feel like I'm giving people their lives back.
Robert lived to take care of his patients, but he couldn't do it unless he took care of his foot pain.
I have plantar fasciitis. It'll almost put you on your knees. That's how much it hurts.
His own recovery started when he got fitted for arch supports at the Good Feet store.
Now that I'm pain free, I can make these people feel better.
Can't beat that. Stop by or schedule your free fitting at goodfeet.com. A story of first downs and second chances. Meet former pro football player Michael Robinson.
I wanted to keep playing, but my feet hurt.
And all those big league experts couldn't help?
You have access to anything, but none of it worked.
Finally, he got fitted with Good Feet arch supports.
Let me tell you something. They work.
Now, he recommends Good Feet to
anybody. If you move, go to the Good Feet store.
Sign up for your free fitting at goodfeet.com.
Stop by the Good Feet store on 13th Avenue near TJ Maxx Plaza for a free fitting. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeetdakotas.com.
So I can buy the Chevy truck for $4,000 less than invoice?
Yes, you can at Gateway Chevrolet in Fargo. Up to $2,000 customer cash or 2.9% financing for 60 months. Plus up to $2,000 loyalty cash on select new Chevy trucks. Shop the savings on all new Chevrolets today at Gateway Chevrolet. Save thousands with 2.9% financing for 60 months on select models. Only at Gateway Chevrolet in Fargo. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.